please don't worry too much about this. I have a cold, but just to be on the safe side, so I'm not giving other people colds, I'm wearing a mask today. So, yay. Again, happy Friday. This is day 2 for us to talk about Jesus and other religions. And you'll get an email reminding you about next week. Next week is a very, very important week where we will talk. Next week is Suicide Prevention Week. So on Monday, we will talk to a friend of mine, Deanna Nelson from Safe Hope, and she will talk to us about trauma, how we can detect when we are suffering from trauma, particularly from sexual misconduct or harassment that's happened to us. I'm a little bit arrow. And also what to do about it, how to help your friends, how to help yourself. Monday's going to be a very, very special time. And on Friday, our own Jose Gloria is going to come and is going to talk to us about suicide. We care enough about each other in this community that we're going to dare to talk about this topic. I've asked Jose to come up and talk a little bit more too about some other things that are coming up next week. Thank you. Yeah, give him a big hand. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Good morning. I'm facing my fear of like, what if I fall? And I didn't, so it's a thumbs up. Hi, my name is Jose Gloria. I am the campus counselor. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you should have gotten an email today. There's gonna be a project that we're calling the Semicolon Project. There's actually an organization called the Semicolon Project. Google it, it's very powerful. But what I'm asking you guys to do, I learned that the semicolon is used a lot for mental health. And the reason is the author wrote a sentence and they could have stopped but chose not to. And then there's another sentence. So we use it a lot in mental health. There's a stigma that if we're struggling alone. No one else is going through this. It's a lie. When I meet with students and I say, you know, other people are going through that, there really is surprise in their eyes, like other people feel this. Yes, they really do. And so what I'm asking you guys to do is, looks like this. I'm asking you guys to write a letter, just hope. It could be, I wanted it all to end, but then I remembered I matter. It doesn't have to be and it doesn't have to just pertain to suicide. I wanted to quit the team, and then I spoke to my coach. I wanted to, and what it's gonna do, guys, is believe it or not, your voice has an impact. And so you have gotten an email. I'm gonna put some of these on the back. Grab one, fill it out. It can be anonymous. You don't have to put your name on it. Drop it off in my office in Student Life. You can pick these up via email. You can pick them up at Rest for Stress Corner in the Lark's Nest. You can pick them up in the Student Life office. But what I'm gonna do with them is I'm gonna display them by the cafeteria, and as people walk by, you're gonna actually give hope to other people. Is that fair? I think that's it. Thank you, Michelle.
Prayer, all right? And I invite you, you don't have to, but I invite you to hold your hands up like this, both hands, so that we can receive this hope from God. Let's pray together. Dear God, as we deal with tough issues, as we figure out how to live together in the dorms and how to do our schoolwork and how to balance sports and music and the play and homework and everything else, we need your hope. Give us your hope. Give us healing. Give us the courage to tell our stories. And Lord, next week, give us the courage to write on these pieces of paper so that our deciding to go on can be a measure of hope for someone else. And Lord, if there are people who need someone to talk to them, help them find that person. Help us to be a better community, a more loving community, a community where your healing can come to each one of us. And be with us here in this hour today. Thank you. Amen. Amen. We're going to play 3-on-3, and even though I am super good at basketball, ain't gonna lie, it's not quite basketball, but we're doing stuff for just 3 minutes. The first thing we're going to do is you're going to spend 3 minutes writing the answers to the questions that are some of the things that maybe you've been thinking about from Monday. And then we're going to have 3 minutes where you're going to go, I'm going to tell you where to go to share with somebody about what you've written down. And then we'll take 3 or maybe a couple more minutes to answer some of your questions. Now, in silence, I want you to write on these questions. You don't have to write on all of them. Write what's really meaningful to you. Let's go to the next one. And you're going to do this in silence. Write all this stuff down. Here we go. John Murray suggested we start with acceptance when meeting people of other religions. What would that look like in everyday life for you? Michelle said that God helped people of other faiths. Who are the Naamans in your life? Does this story mess with how you understand God? How does this story challenge you? What are you going to do about what you've heard? What questions do you have? Take your 3 minutes now. The next 3. Everybody stand up, please. Please. Yeah. Kind of move out into the aisleways. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to move, it's 3 on 3, 3 pews away and talk to somebody new and share what you wrote, okay? Move around, find someone new, share what you wrote. I want to hear lots of noise. One more minute, so make sure everybody talks. 1 more minute. Yes, yeah, sure. Say what? Finish up your conversations. Finish up your conversations and then find your seat. Emma, would you go back and get a handheld for me, wherever Emma is? Where is Emma? There's Emma. All right. Woo! Let's find our seats. I heard rumblings. Emma Killingsworth is going to come around with the mic. Does she have the mic? Oh, I don't see her. All right. Emma, do you have the mic? Go straight back to Micah. There we go. All right. Now we're going to spend some time. Oh, you've got a mic too? Oh, perfect. But you and Emma both. What would you like, a comment you'd like to make about how we do this, or a question you have? Maybe your group has a very good idea on how we show respect and acceptance, or maybe you have a question. So, raise your hands. Repeat that part. Like, it's okay to ask John a question about the mountain metaphor, like maybe it didn't make sense. Absolutely. Or you can actually disagree with John if you want to. He's okay with that. Or you can ask any other question. You can ask me a question about what I said. Yeah, there we go.
I have a question to John. It's more like, was there a situation where it was like really, really hard for you to stay open-minded and like try to accept the other religion? Yeah, that would be cool.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a great question. I actually began my life journey as very difficult to be open-minded. And what changed my life literally was going to India. And I was a Christian pastor at that time in a rural village. It was predominantly Hindu and Muslim. The leaders of the village took me around the village, and they wanted me to pray for the village as a visiting Christian pastor. And I'm like, what's this about? these folks are Hindus and Muslims, but they respect my religion. And I could tell a lot of stories of those kinds of things that really began to open my mind and transform my understanding of the way God works in the world. And I want to say clearly, I am a deeply committed follower of Jesus. And I still am, and I feel like I'm a deeper committed follower of Jesus because of my interactions with people of other religions.
Thank you. Another question or comment?
Can I have a question? I'm
Yes,
just going to give
yes,
you.
yes, you can.
Doesn't that weaken your faith if you're around people of other faiths? How can you still be a strong, committed Christian if you're hanging out with people of other faiths? Doesn't that weaken your faith?
It's actually strengthened my faith. I have been able to look at the teachings of Jesus with new, fresh eyes. That has really opened me to follow Jesus more deeply. Jesus is quoted in the Gospel of John as saying, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to God except through me." And I have come to believe even more deeply that the way of Jesus is the way of faithfulness. What's challenged me is I have run into people of other faiths who are living the way of Jesus more completely and more faithfully than some Christians I know, including myself. And I've had to learn what it means to follow Jesus more faithfully because I've seen the way of Jesus being lived by others.
Wonderful, thank you. Another question. Oh, I thought, anybody else? Yes, right there, yes.
How do you find faith?
How do you find faith? Yeah.
How do you find faith?
So how do you find faith?
Oh, define faith?
Not define it or just find it? Find it.
Just find it.
Just find it. That is an
That's
awesome question.
That's the huge
Yeah.
question. That is
Yeah.
the right question.
It is.
And I'm still finding it, to be very honest. And to find it, you need curiosity, which means you keep looking, you keep searching. Jesus said, "Seek and ye shall find, ask and it shall be given," or seeking. You know what it says. The problem is we get to a point where we quit seeking because we think we know it all. And that's when we start losing faith, is when we stop seeking. And what's also a problem is when we try to tell other people that they don't have to seek because we've already sought and found the answer. That's a problem too. Curiosity, humility, openness. But also remember that you have a story to tell too. And the faith that's emerging in you is important for you to share with me because that helps me develop and strengthen my faith.
Yeah, beautiful, thank you. Yeah. I know that as long as I'm asking deep questions and being willing to share those deep questions, I do have faith. I'm working on my faith. Anything else? I want to say this. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Good. Hold on, just got it. Yep.
How do you handle the arguments when something occurs when you guys are talking? Can you talk a little louder? Yeah. How do you handle the arguments when you guys are interacting with other people with other faith? How do you handle that?
Arguments, like when people argue about what's truth.
Oh,
How do
when
you
people
handle that?
argue about faith?
Yeah.
Arguing doesn't particularly help things. Now, sharing our different perspectives does. Arguing is trying to convince somebody else of what I think. I can share what I think without trying to convince them of that. And ultimately, the thing I want to say is that we usually argue about doctrines. In particular, those are the things that end up getting argued about. I want to say clearly that interfaith engagement is not a conversation between doctrines or between religious practices. It's a conversation between people. it's a conversation between human beings who are both seeking to understand the world and what's bigger than it. And if we can engage in those conversations that way rather than in arguing about doctrine, actually I've had most of my arguments about doctrine with other Christians. But that's a great question.
Yeah. Thank you, Alonja. If there are other questions, I know I want to give time for a couple interviews and some other things. Please, you email me those questions, email John Murray those questions. If we need to, we'll do another whole session on this one. We're just asking questions. So send us those questions on email. I think one way that we do interfaith is we give ourselves space around something that's common. Maybe common like food. I'm going to ask Nick and Z-Way to come up and tell us about an opportunity to do some interfaith dialogue.
Use this. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Instead of the handheld. I changed my mind. So I just want to read to you quickly a story. How many of you have heard the story of Zacchaeus in the Bible? What do you know about Zacchaeus? He was short, right? He was a short dude. Yeah? And, hey, sometimes, that's relative, right? If Michael was standing here, I'd be very short. Okay, so short is relative. Was he well liked by the people around him? No. He was a tax collector, and that made him kind of the enemy because he was collecting taxes for the enemy, right, for the state. So I want to just read you this quick story of Jesus and Zacchaeus in 19. That's Jesus, entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd, he could not because he was short, yeah? Okay, so he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, he has gone to be the guest of one who's a sinner? Jesus? You're going to eat at somebody's house who's a sinner? A terrible person? You're going to go sit and eat with him? They were all confused and shocked. Maybe just as shocked as if, John Murray went and sat at the house of a Muslim and ate dinner with them. Some Christians would be just as shocked. Are you with me? So when John talked about last time about starting with acceptance, what does that look like? Maybe it looks like having a meal with somebody totally different than you and just having a meal with them because you wouldn't do that. So Z-Way is one of our MAs, and all of our MAs you'll start to see are starting different ministry opportunities in different ways. So we're starting something here soon that we want to talk to you about. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so in an effort to foster community building here at Hesston, we plan to have a meal this next Sunday, the 17th of September. This first meal will cap it at 30 people, but we'd like to have a variety of people to sign up. We want to have build a community where you interact with people who are not just in your mod, your default group of friends, or in your sport, but people of different majors, different interests than you, and different, even faith, religions, and faith. So we're going to have a barbecue. So we're going to have typical barbecue food, burgers, corn on the cob, watermelon, and then we'll also have vegetarian options available. So we'll have a sign up at the end of formation, and you'll also have a chance to get CE points. And if you don't get a chance to come to this one this month, we have one every month, and we'll be having different types of food every month till the end of semester. Thank you.
September 17th. I'm looking for Fortesa, but she may, or no. So I would like to have next a conversation with Nyan Wynn, or Nick Wynn. Give him a big hand as he comes on down. Let me get come on down. I gotta get my list. Where's my list? Oh, it's up here. No, I'm going to, grab the handheld. It's up here. I'm losing my mind. Nick, I'm so happy to see you. Nick is a first-year student here and has a very fascinating story. All right. Nick, you come from a country called Myanmar that is mostly Buddhist, right? And if I understand you correctly, you are Christian. So how do Buddhists and Christians get along in Myanmar? Or do they? What's it like in Myanmar?
Like probably like years ago, 60, 50 years ago, it probably would have been like a conflict between two religions in the country. But then now, like since I was born, I would say from modern era, there's not really a conflict between them. They get along. There's not. Usually, the only thing is we can see a lot of debates and like people like interfaith talking in like many different places, but there's not really like that much of a conflict.
Yeah. Do you have any personal experience with working with Buddhists and Christians?
So during summer, I usually go travel around America for Burmese kids that are born here that doesn't really, they're not strong, like they're not fluent in Burmese, and I would teach them reading, writing, etc. that was born here. And then most of them would be Buddhist. It would be in Buddhist temples. But I usually try to, like, they would ask me questions because I'm not Buddhist, and then I would usually try to share the gospel, like tell them why I believe, and they would usually make me try to prove why the Bible was correct.
They would right. But they were okay, they were curious about what you believed.
Yeah.
And were you curious and asked a lot of questions of them?
So the crazy thing is I was raised in a Buddhist family where it was like they were hardcore, like my grandparents and everything. And then I didn't learn about the Bible until I came here 3-4 years ago. And I went to a school, Sunrise Christian Academy down in Wichita, and that's where I learned about the Bible, and that's how I got saved.
I'm asking, you don't have to, but you and your parents, they know this, and do you talk about different things?
My siblings and my mom knows we've talked about it, but it's still hard trying to, I don't know how to say it, like, just, it's hard when it's like family, like trying to tell them a different thing from what they grew up to, so.
Sure. But my sense and just how I know you is that you do that with kindness and grace. Do you have any tips for us on how to be better at talking about interfaith conversations?
Usually I approach them by like, hey, like, oh, you want to read the Bible or like something, and then I would usually, the first thing I would say is like, some people, it's harder for them to like let them know because they would say, oh, I don't want to hear about it or like talk about it. But usually it's hard, but like it takes time and patience to like spread the gospel and tell the truth.
And I would imagine that you respectfully listen to their values.
Yes.
Yes, and ask them questions. That is, thank you, because that's a deeply personal story for you. Thank you. Let's give Nick a big hand. That is awesome. Woo! Finally, I would like to ask the MAs and the RAs to come forward. We're going to bless you all, and that includes student life staff. And any of you who would like to lay your hands on an RA or an MA as being part of the blessing, let's just fill this stage. Come on in and fill this stage. And we're going to, for people who need this, come on up.
I'm really representing.
Thank you for just filling the stage. RAs and MAs do a great job. Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah. Thank you. Good for you. You're a great guy, Trey. Yeah. Hi, Joe. Come on up. All right. Remember remember, here we go. Remember that there will be parts for you out there to say it really big and loud. And let's get started. All right. You, Lord, were anointed by the Spirit, called to be blessed, and called to be a blessing. May these MAs and RAs feel your blessing. Help them say yes to their calling to bless others. Lord, you are called to bring good news to the poor.
We too are called.
The RAs and MAs need your help giving care in the dorms and on campus. Help them be good listeners.
And when they're tired, give them hope and renew their spirit.
You are called, Lord, to proclaim release to the captives.
We too are called.
So many of us are captured by anxiety, stress, depression. Help these students show your love to others.
And when the RAs and MAs themselves feel stressed, rescue them, Lord.
You are called, Lord, to give sight to the blind.
We too are called.
Help the RAs and MAs see the great value in their mod mates and classmates.
And help them see how much you value them, Lord.
You are called, Lord, to let the oppressed go free.
We too are called.
Set us free too, Lord. Heal us so that we can be vessels of your healing.
You are called, Lord, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.
May your favor rest on these MAs and RAs, and help them extend your favor to others. May they feel how proud you are of them every minute of this year.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, give them a hand. You guys are great. Way to go, guys. Woo. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right. If you've still not done your attendance, that's going to come up. Other than that, we'll see you on Monday. Thank you.